Hey, so I'm back with part two of my story. Welcome to the Hustle Guy YouTube channel. Go ahead and like, subscribe, and comment on my videos so that I can make better videos for you guys in the future and give you more of what you want from me. So I'm back with the part two of this story, and basically, my family had done a lot of things to turn around everything that I had worked so hard for in life. Had even sent CPS to try to take my kids at the same time that I was selling my house. I started the Flex Gang thing, but even that had to come to a point where it had to stop because I had gotten to a point where I couldn't even get up and get around. I had gotten really sick. My mom came down for a couple of days to help me, but she left. She had me drive to her house and she would help me, but I rented a car, got all the way there, which was 4 or 5 hours away from me. She started saying like she never invited me there and so much, so I had recorded that and put that on Facebook. And once she saw that, she got mad, and that kind of set a whole nother set of attacks against me off. And so I just kept going with my kids, and then eventually my older son left and my younger son stayed and said that he would watch me die, and that kind of gave me the strength to keep fighting. And I started doing my therapy on my own. My younger son was doing my therapy for me for a while, but I started doing my therapy on my own. Once he left, it was just me and my younger son. I decided to go ahead and sell the house. I sold the house. I had a little money, but I was doing my record label. My family tried to stop that, but it was all that I had to keep me going, to fulfill me, to keep me moving in the darkness while I waited for the time to come where my life would come back to uh, being a blessed life, an anointed life, a life full of joy and happiness again. So I started working on selling the house, got the house sold, got the money. I was working with the label, was really keeping myself busy. My family was kind of against it, and so they kind of started saying, "Oh, you're not really sick because you have time and energy to do this. When you do have time and energy, this is what you use it for." So they basically kind of put me on the streets because I wasn't willing to like throw my money into what things that they wanted me to do. I kind of had my own dreams and goals, and I wanted to build something for my children so that if I did not stay here long, that I would leave something that I worked for and built for them, whether they kept it or not. I knew that that was something that I wanted to do. And at this point, I was living life on my terms because I didn't know if I was going to live or die. So everything that I was doing had very, very deep meaning to me. And so everything I was doing was for a reason. It was for me to um, uh, tie up loose screws and filling up my bucket list, doing everything that I always wanted to do, saying everything that I always wanted to say, trying everything that I always wanted to try, just living the life that I wanted to live with no regrets, living with no regrets, making every decision based on what I wanted because I never knew if that was the last moment that I was going to be making a decision about the life that I would be living, or even if I would be making a decision about a life at all. And so eventually I sold my house. I moved in with my aunt, which is where we were at the end of the part one. While I was there, crazily, I had my car parked in front of the house, and out of the blue one day, somebody hits my car and totals it. I just had bought that when I sold the house, a Toyota Camry. Had everything leather, sunroof, CD changer, you name it, was nice. And I didn't have the right insurance at that time. I had just moved down to liability, but I didn't have the uninsured motorist, and it was a stolen car, so it was a total loss. And so I had to come up with money at this time to buy another vehicle to keep my life going, and I was able to acquire the funds to get me another car. I was my sister couldn't give me money, but she was able to get her wife at the time to sell me their car and to let me make payments on what I didn't have left to pay what they for what they wanted. And so I got the car. I kept decided that I needed to keep going further, and that was a sign for me to keep going further. Although I was at the point where I could barely walk, barely talk, I could barely get up and get out of bed, I could barely get up and feed myself, cook for myself, clean myself, take care of myself at any level. But every time that I did have any bit of energy, I would get up and just go try to make my life, get my life together. And so, and then every time I would do that, I would be down for a few more days because it would take everything that I had in me to try to get that done. And so I went on with that for a little while and so forth. And eventually, uh, I started to get ahead on my therapy and started to have a little bit more time for my creative things that I had started working on. By this time, we're talking about this being about 3 months of me being in my aunt's house. I started working in that year in January, but stopped in March. I bought a laptop, got Adobe Design, started reworking on my label because I was getting a little bit better. So every time now that I would get better and I couldn't get up and go run errands, I would get up and work on my brand. And also, I was still doing my YouTube videos, and I had also still was doing the Instagram stuff and still posting on Facebook and just trying to enlighten people. And I was just trying to figure out a way to enlighten more people and for the way for the message to connect more with people. And I went and meditated one day while I was doing my therapy, and I came out with the Become a Powerful Creator. And I rushed out of my out of the tub and ran to my new laptop and set it up, and it had to record on there because my phone wasn't getting service and stuff at the time. It was just always full, and I never get things recorded or ever get my thoughts out. So I actually was the first time trying to use the camera, and it all worked out, and I was able to record my first Become a Powerful Creator video, which is on my YouTube channel. You can check it out. And that eventually became the first part of the series, which became Discover Your Purpose, because once I recorded that, I realized that eventually later on when I started doing the lectures, that was just me telling people about the discovery, and that branched off into what became the 5-part series of Become a Powerful Creator. So at this time, I'm putting that out there, and I'm trying to get that to people, but I'm also getting my hearing coming up. I had the lawyers, they got my hearing moved up from November 2018 to November 2017. Sorry, my eyes are I'm all over the place. I'm really thinking, trying to stay focused here and keep up with everything. It's just so much, and I want to try to stay directed to what I really want to get the points across on here. And so my lawyer had got my hearing moved up to November 2017. She had moved me to a doctor that was her doctor, and I had started to try to go to another doctor once I moved here, and was waiting for my insurance to approve it. And in the meantime, she had me go to another doctor, and right before my insurance was about to approve that, I switched to her doctor, and that got approved instead of me approving my doctor. Started going to see her doctor, and at this time I was really having a hard time walking, having a hard time standing, and I had actually started using a walker. And it was one of the hardest times of my life. I would try to walk to the store. It would take me about an hour to walk about 2 blocks there, 2 blocks back, maybe an hour and a half. But I would get up and I would try, and I would not give up. And I just didn't understand what was going wrong or what was going on, but I just knew that things weren't right. I would get up some days and I would just say that I was losing my legs. I just knew that I was losing my legs. I would call the doctor's office some days because I would miss my appointments, and I would call them in pain some days just because I really didn't know what to do when I was distraught. And they tell me if I needed them to call them, so I just thought that they really meant that. So I would call them when I was in pain, and then they would try to tell me to get there, and I would tell them I can't even get up, I can't get there. And so that went on, and so eventually said, well, if one day when you can't get here, get here. So one day I could get there. Finally, I took all the strength in me, and I got myself there. After going to the hospital one time and not being able to get no help, I decided, okay, the next time I can't get up, I'm going to go there in the daytime. So I got that daytime, went there, got there, the doctor started testing me and stuff, and she tested my heart, she tested my breathing, and she did a blood test, and she decided, oh, there's nothing wrong with you. You're making all of this up. You just want attention. She sent me for $51.50 to try to send me to John George. The ambulance came and picked me up. They were doing the diagnosis, the testing on me. And while they were doing the testing on me, they were asking me questions, and I told them that I kind of thought it was something wrong with my nervous system. And they were like, based on the results of what they tested, that was in alignment with their agreement with that too. And they were in disagreement with what the doctor had said. So they went and got my keys from the doctor, released me right there, and told me to go and get an MRI and to get rid of that doctor because she was not trying to help me. And so I told the doctor that, and at this time I had a friend that was still was in X-ray, and I went to him like, dude, I need an MRI of my back, really bad. I don't know what's going on. I'm losing my legs. My doctor's telling me it's all in my head. Everybody at this point was telling me it was all in my head, and that I was so crazy that I was making up this stuff for attention. But the crazy thing is that I was making this up for attention that I never received. The only attention that I ever received was negative attention, and it was never directed towards me. It was just rumors that I would always hear, or people coming to me. When it was directed to me, it was always like, you're a bum, you're homeless, just negative energy, just nothing positive. It was just horrible. It was just the worst time of my life, if I can remember. And so and now I'm at this point where I need some resolution, and I need some evidence, and I need to be redeemed from everybody and all of the stuff that's being said and everything. And I need some proof for myself. I had gotten down to the differential diagnosis of fibromyalgia, and the MRI was the last step to proving that even was true. And so I got my guy to give me he found an old order in my file that was still just barely eligible for an MRI. So we did what we have to do. We got the MRI. The MRI proved that I had a extruded disc in my L4, L5, and that's all it could see because it was just made for an abdomen. It wasn't a spine X-ray. MRI. It was an old abdomen, so we had to take what we had. And so it saw that I had the fibroids. It also saw the old UTI contraceptive in my uterus, or endometrium. I can't even think of what that's called right now. IUD. And so I was like, oh my God, finally I'm redeemed. Finally I'm going to get some help from the doctors. Finally I'm going to get taken serious. So I rushed with the results to the doctor. I get the printed out results, and I rush them over. I call the doctor. I'm like, yeah, you said so. Yeah. I'm not even just being brash and telling her right now. You said something in my head. I'm like, hey, I went and got this MRI. I want to bring you the results. I got proof now so I take it to her. She said, bring it to me.